Welcome back to another video. Hello guys and welcome back to another Lucy on Cars. It's a windy one today and the key is locked inside the car. 1 second. Got it. In today's episode we have a Volvo XC90, but not any Volvo XC90. This is the T8 Recharge, which is the fastest Volvo they do. Well, it's not the fastest Volvo ever. It's the fastest XC90, put it that way. So I think you are all going to be slightly blown away by the power on this thing today. It's been incredibly fun to drive. I've got it for a whole week. We're about 3 days in, so I'm recording the video, having spent a good few days getting to know it. As you can see, it's less than a year old, and it's actually the first time I've driven a car, and amazing place in a sentence to stop. This is not the first time I've driven a car. I have to make that very clear to begin with. This is absolutely not my first day of my driving lessons. It's so funny. What I was trying to say then was this is the newest Volvo that I've ever driven. So I've driven a V70 a few months back, which is George's dad's car. Love-hate relationship with the car. I made a few videos with it and I got a lot of feedback. So I'm really pleased today that I've got a brand new Volvo in the channel so I can really get to know a newer model, see what they've done in the last decade or so. And this car is rather special. So very much looking forward to showing you around it today. The reason I've got this car, actually, very long story short, we have a BMW 330e, which we've leased from a company called Select Car Leasing for the last few years. We've been chatting with them on Instagram and they've got a huge variety of cars that they lease. And this being one of them, they actually asked if I'd like to borrow it for a week to film a video about the car mainly, but also let you guys know that this car and a huge variety of other amazing cars they've got available to lease. But I'll talk a bit more about that later. There is going to be a link below the video to Select Car Leasing if you wanted to check them out, if you're in the market for leasing a new car. So if you're wondering why I'm dressed for summer, it's because it's bloody August. Freezing, windy, but it's fine. I'm summoning the sun by wearing a sun dress. So this car is a hybrid, meaning obviously got a battery, got an engine. They work together to give out a lot of power. The electric range is 32 miles on its own, but obviously combined you get a lot more out of it depending on your MPG. So Volvo says this can do, it can do 100 MPG if it's like optimum conditions charged overnight, but sort of daily driving you're going to be closer to 30. I've never heard of a car getting 100 MPG, but I am in the mindset of owning an old Range Rover, so maybe that's why it's such a shock to me to hear that. But this on the road price, brand new, would be £71,000. So it's a fairly expensive car. Well, it's a very expensive car. It's very under. There's no hiding it. This is definitely a very expensive car, but you do get a lot with that price. So the safety on this car, being a Volvo, is very good. You've got a lot of extra safety features that you might not have in other vehicles. You've got pilot assist, which will keep you in a set lane and a set distance from cars in front of you on the motorway. It's got a 360-degree camera. The XC90 was awarded a 5-star NCAP safety rating, as well as a 97% score for adult occupant protection. So you're going to be feeling very safe and very comfy in this car. Enough rambling and more driving. I know it's Lucy on Cars, but Lucy in Cars does happen sometimes as well. We're going to head out on the road and talk a bit more about the drive and the power behind this car. I, for one, am incredibly excited for this drive because it's got 455 brake horsepower, which I don't know about you guys, but when I think of an XC90, I'm not thinking about power at all. But here we are in a very, very powerful Volvo XC90. There is also a little key holder, I'll show you, just down here. Pop it in. Very neat. Let's start this beast up. Are you ready? Foot on the brake, hand on the toggle, little knock. Yes, power. But in all seriousness, you know that really annoying noise that cars make when your seatbelt's not on? Obviously it's meant to be annoying to get you to put your seatbelt on. This is a tune. Check this out. We were going around a car park earlier and George hadn't put his seatbelt on yet. I thought a song was starting. I thought George had connected his Bluetooth up to the car and a lovely melody, a lullaby was playing to soothe me into my drive. But no, it was a seatbelt warning. It's actually amazing. Very relaxing. Right, let's go. Well, if you're wondering why I'm laughing, George is just walking into stinging nettles instead of filming, but here we are. The start-stop toggle is actually just literally a twist, which is quite unusual. I've never actually seen that in the car before. And then you haven't got any lights on these, so you just have to rely up here to see what mode you're actually on. I mean, you could put your hands through there, but I find that a bit weird. I would just hold it like this. Do you think that's designed for that? So maybe you could... It's a bit odd doing that. I'd just pull it down into drive like that, and then just your regular automatic handbrake down there. You're good to go. So in terms of the drive of this, it's a very interesting engine format, statistically, I don't know what word I'm trying to use here. Basically, it's a 2 litre, but it's got a whopping 455 brake horsepower, which might mean that this is, brake horsepower speaking, the fastest car I've ever driven, which you wouldn't expect from like a people carrier. There is an insane amount of power in this car, and I think a lot of that is down to the fact that not only has it got a turbo, but it's also supercharged. So that basically means that obviously in a turbo you often say, oh well, there's a turbo lag, but once it kicks in it goes. The supercharge takes care of the first bit, and then the turbo kicks in, and then when you're at an even higher speed they both sort of work together. So you're given this insane amount of power, and it just feels like a rocket, like it just goes off the mark, it continues going. If you saw this car, you wouldn't expect that from it. It really does not look like it should be that insanely fast. So obviously the engine and the electric battery power work together, and so 0 to 60 in this is 4.5 seconds. So it's quite a quiet road here. If I hang back a little bit, we can try putting our foot down. I'm quite scared to put my foot all the way to the floor in this because it is just a bit insane. Okay, so doing 40 now. And you're up to 60. It's just crazy. But it's a weird power, but because there's no turbo lag, it doesn't throw you back like you might be used to. It's just like, go, 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 never gonna stop. That's how it feels. Should we do another one? So if we go, yeah, we can go now, I think. It's just crazy. It's literally like a rocket ship. We might get some air if we do that on a hill. The handling is also amazing. So again, for like the size of it, the weight of it, I don't actually know how much it weighs. I might find that and put it on the screen, but I imagine it weighs quite a lot because of the battery and because of the size of it. But you just sort of stick to the roundabout really well. So we've got a roundabout coming up here, as if by magic. I start talking about the handling and there's a roundabout in front of us. A little bit of traffic here, so we'll just sit here and wait. But we're going all the way around the roundabout and back again, so I can really kind of give it some around this roundabout and see how we stick. But yeah, I was super impressed by the way it's just sort of planted down. So let's go around this fairly fast. And there's no sort of roll. I'm very much still upright in my seat, incredibly comfy. Like my head's not being pushed to the side at all. And then if we come off here, it's amazing. It sounds all right actually, to be fair, for a little 2 litre. That's just wild. Oh, move out the way, everyone. I wish there was a clear road for me to properly do that. That actually feels better going from a lower speed. I was doing like whatever I was doing on the roundabout, I didn't actually look, but going from that to like 40 felt a lot more exciting and thrilling than sort of going from 40 to 60 like we did a minute ago. But it's nice being in a car, it feels safe knowing that. I know Volvos are a lot about safety. I know that's kind of like bread and butter. Volvo is, you know, they're safe and reliable cars. I feel safe being in a car that can get me up to speed that quickly, so that if someone pulls out when they shouldn't do, or if I've got to go around something quickly for whatever reason on the road, you feel very safe in one of these. In terms of ride height, we're fairly high up. I mean, comparing it to our Range Rover on the drive at the moment, we've got a car park going on, guys. We literally, our driveway looks like a car park because we've got so many cars. We might be adding to the collection soon. More on that potentially in the next video or the one after. But when you park this next to the Range Rover, so we've got an L322, it actually looks fairly small, but then on the road next to other cars, obviously it's a very big car. It's the XC90. I think it's Volvo's biggest car they do. So of course it's got some road presence, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like a size that you kind of have to get used to. But that is just personally speaking. I'm very much used to big cars. If you're going from a Nissan Micra into this, you might be like, wow, this is quite a lot to get used to. But for me, I'm good to go. The seats are pretty comfortable. I haven't taken on any long drives yet. We're going tomorrow for a longer drive. We've got about an hour and a half of driving each way tomorrow, so we'll probably give that a whirl then. But I'm comfy, I've got no complaints. I feel like I'm in a good position. So in terms of driving modes, we've got 5, which might sound confusing, like too many, but I've quite enjoyed using them. So that whole segment then was in power mode, obviously. We love power. Enhances steering and suspension feedback and optimises power for sportier driving. The other options we've got, I mean, one of them sounds like right up my street. It's got an off-roading mode, which obviously you can't put it in at speed because I don't think anyone should be off-roading at 50 miles an hour. Then we've got pure, which is pure electric, which when you change it into, I mean, you lose a little bit of that like angry power that I like because the engine kind of has a bit of a rest. It's the same as in our BMW. We've got a 330e. It's very much like you can tell it's an electric car, which I don't love. We had a Tesla for a while and I didn't get that excitement of driving that compared to when it's in either hybrid or just like a regular engine car, but day to day it might be good. Maybe someone's run out of petrol and you can put it into the pure mode, or you're just going to the office or the gym or something and you don't want to use any of your fuel up. You can literally just plug it into the house, there and back it, and not basically spend any money because it's so cheap to charge these off the house. And then we've got hybrid mode, which I think probably would be what you do your daily driving in, where it combines both the engine, which is a 4-cylinder 2-litre, with the battery as well. So we're just going to pull back in now and chat a little bit more about these. I'm not off-road, but I am going to select it now. So it says for low speed in rough terrain, increases steering sensitivity and activates hill descent control. So it's already on hill descent. That's cool. I mean, I can't really try it out here. We're going into a car park that's a bit gravelly. We'll go back into this one and see if it feels anything. Okay, it's a little bit bumpy here, so we can kind of feel it, but it's hard to say it's just in a gravel car park. But it's cool that it's got that feature. I think so many 4x4s are just for like looks, for the school run. They're like aesthetically pleasing, but they're not actually doing anything. It's cool that this one's actually got an off-road mode. And then the fifth and final is constant all-wheel drive mode, which basically optimizes a power distribution to all 4 wheels. So it says here it results in obviously higher energy consumption, but it's when constant traction is needed. So you'd use that maybe when it's snowing and you need to like be planted on the road, or if it's wet out and I don't really know when you'd use that. I think that would be that kind of thing, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But anyway, let's park back up. Very smooth on the bumps, this actually, incredibly smooth. Right, let's pull back up here and we can talk about the interior and exterior of this car. Okay. Let's get out and start with the exterior. I feel like there's an order to my videos and I quite like it. I hope you enjoy it as well, because I don't know, I intro it, go for a drive, come back, talk about the outside, talk about the inside. I think it's quite a good order. So in terms of looks of this car, I think it's a rather good looking car. There's parts of it that I like more than others. For example, I feel like there's a couple of lines missing from the bonnet. Very odd thing to say probably, but I think it's got so much power. Maybe it's on purpose. There's so much power in this car. It doesn't look that sporty considering. It looks like it wouldn't be as fast as it is. Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe it's like acting like it's not fast, but so no one expects it to pull off fast at the traffic lights and then it just like whizzes off and beats everyone off the mark. I think this is amazing. Huge big grille along here. We've got the ginormous Volvo badge. And fun fact, this symbol here, the little arrow, it looks a lot like the symbol for like mail. This is actually inspired by a symbol for iron. So Volvo are basically paying homage to a key industrial age product in Sweden, which was iron. So very cool, didn't know that. I think it's quite cat-like. Don't know about you, but I sometimes see animals in cars. Maybe that's a very odd thing to say and people are going to realise how weird I actually am in saying that. I don't know, it's kind of like whiskers and like little thin cat eyes. I don't know. It just looks quite feline to me. And it's got the classic blunt nose of a Volvo. If you come around here, it goes straight down there, which I think is very like distinct in Volvo DNA. The wheels make it look like a hybrid, like if you know what I mean. It's like when the i3 came out with BMW, not as many spokes and a lot more like flat metal. I don't mind the wheels. I think it suits the car, but they probably wouldn't be my like favourite wheel I've ever seen. Nice chunky 55 tyres, and it says XL on the tyres as well, so I suppose they're like extra large. I'm not actually saying what extra XL means, you know what I mean? So these are 19-inch wheels, but I think the tyre obviously makes them look a lot bigger, which is needed for all your off-roading you're going to do. We've got some nice chrome detailing. The roof rails in chrome. We've got a little lining around the windows in chrome, as well as along here, and this one actually says recharge on it, which looks quite good. And then round to the back, I think this really does just look Volvo, doesn't it? Like proper, I feel like it hasn't changed that much. The front looks very different and modern, the wheels look modern. I feel like the rear looks very, just looks very classic Volvo. Have a little look in the boots. We've got a nice electric boot, of course. And in here, look at this parcel shelf as well. I want to talk about that first. The thinnest parcel shelf. So good. Why do you need a ginormous thick parcel shelf that's really difficult to use? Like, this is very good. I'm very, very happy about this. And it's also got a little, don't know, it's quite satisfying. Should I stop doing that now? But I just love how thin it is. I think other manufacturers should take inspiration from that. I believe the previous XC90 had the, similar to a Range Rover, upper and lower tailgate, which they've done away with. But this is a good opportunity, if I can actually figure out how to get this off, to show you the fact that this car doesn't have... Very cool, look at this. Didn't know that attached to that. It's got a little clip, so you can keep your bag, maybe from sliding around, but also, I don't know, maybe I don't really know why it's clipped in there. I am going to unclip it to show you that this car doesn't have 5 seats. It has 7. Oh, boot test. So if we take the parcel shelf out, What's that? I don't know, it suddenly spring up in my face. So, very easily just pull these up, like that. And that just clips up, yeah. So, super easy to do. I didn't actually look up how to do that. It's very intuitive, this car. Things just got to make sense. 2 more seats in the back, and they look pretty roomy. Let's get in them quickly, because it's always good to demonstrate properly, thank you, what you've got to work with. Ow. I just bumped my head on that, but it's padded, so it didn't hurt. Safety features, Volvo, very good. So we just pull the seat forwards very easily. I mean, there's not loads of room. Right, I was about to say there's not loads of room for me to get in. There's a lot of room for me to get in. Let's see how much legroom we've got to work. Did you just beep the horn, George? Yeah. Oh, that guy's looking over. I think you just made that dog jump, and the owner's very annoyed at you. Made me jump as well. Right, we're in. So, we've got our own cup holder. They're thinking about everyone here. A little storage compartment, and even our own air conditioning vents. So if I grab this little hook here, if I pull it back here, I'm surprisingly comfortable. I've actually got enough room. If you get around the back again, George, you'll be able to see. So obviously this would probably be designed more for kids, but I am obviously 6 foot. Well, I'm not 6 foot at all. 5'8.5" to be specific, and I've actually got plenty of room. Like, my knees are touching. I can't spread out. I wouldn't want to be here for hours, but more than happy to sit here on a short journey. The seat's not too far forward. Often with the extra seats, they're like really upright, but I'm fairly reclined here. I've got loads of headroom. Yeah, super happy. And there's a little armrest. This is probably the best 7-seat setup I've ever seen. Very good. So obviously being a hybrid, it's higher up. We've got the battery, luggage net under there, but you've actually got a pretty decent boot. Like, that is not far off what our 330e has, I swear. Like, it honestly is, because you've got the height on it. If I put this back in, you can see it better, but like, you can fit like a whole week's worth of shopping in here easily with the 7 seats being used. So yeah, very impressive boot space. But let's put these back down. Wow, super easy. Look, and that folds down at the same time as releasing it. Cool. If I get the parcel shelf back in, we'll have a look in the inside of the car. So just to quickly touch on Select Car Leasing again, before we head into the interior. A great website, it's really easy to use. You can basically select your car. They've got loads of different models of different manufacturers. Select your term length, so like 12 months, 24, 36, 48, whatever you want. You select your mileage and then your deposit level, and it gives you different monthly payments depending on your configuration at the start. And obviously you can tweak these, so if it's a bit more than you thought, you might be able to adjust your deposit or your mileage and things like that to get it to a price that you're kind of happy with. They also offer like maintenance packages and tyre packages and things, which we've got on our BMW, which came in very handy when we got a puncture the other day. It's all sort of covered, and of course it gives you the joy of owning a new car, so that all you're paying is that monthly payment. You don't have the worry of if something goes wrong and big bills creep up, which is what we have with the Range Rover. We've got both and I must say one is definitely less stressful than the other. We've got like our carefree BMW, which is probably what picks us up when the Range Rover breaks down, basically. We are living the best of both right now, to be fair. So we've got Napa leather seats, which are obviously very soft, very nice leather. I like the little detail here of the Swedish flag, a nice little touch. And also the headrests are really thin. They're still very comfy, but they're just super thin. And I think a lot of the stuff in here makes it look very high end, but then some of the stuff I was surprised at. So I love, for example, this part here, the shape that sort of curls around and all the way to the top. It's like a smooth piece of leather, which goes into your little compartment down here. I think this looks quite nice, and I like the shape of it and the feel of it, and even all the detailing along here, this kind of textured metal, what do you call that, like weaved metal? I don't really know how you describe that. I do feel like this doesn't look quite as expensive as the rest of the car, to be totally honest. It's almost like it's a bit Tesla-y with a big screen, but it's not got that like crisp. I don't know if it's because the screen's shinier. No, it wasn't the Tesla. I don't know. Something about it, maybe the curved edges, it just doesn't look as classy as I've seen in other models. It doesn't quite look as premium as maybe the rest of the car does, but it's easy enough to use. It's that whole argument again of, do you want to be using a touchscreen while driving? I quite personally like buttons and manual things. So when we had the Tesla again, we found it quite difficult to navigate, but this is fairly straightforward. You've got your like heated steering wheel, which I can't do because the engine's not on, heated steering wheel and heated seats. The heated steering wheel gets really hot. So if you've got a cold day, the heated steering wheel is literally going to keep you warm because it's boiling. We've got Apple CarPlay, for example, which is always good. And yeah, settings in the bottom right for all your driving modes in here along the top. So yeah, it's fairly easy to use, and I like that it gives explanations of each thing, so you're not sort of like, well, what does that mean? I feel like other manufacturers might just put them along and expect you to know what they mean, but it literally gives you like an explanation of each one. The little glove box button is quite neat, I think. Very smooth. Oh, and it comes with a cleaning cloth for your screen. Very thoughtful again. Even the handbook here is in a nice little presented box. So there's some really nice features, definitely. Some things that definitely stand out. You've got memory seats for both the driver and the passenger, which is an absolute bonus, especially if you're like George and I, where you share the driving and often one of you's driving, one of you's passenger, and you switch around. Having your seat set up always is like the best. Our BMW doesn't have that option, and that is the one thing we'd really like to change on it, having some memory seats, because we're constantly like pulling the lever. They're not actually even electric, they're like manual seats. So yeah, that's always good. So who is this car for? I always like this part because I have to try and think of like characters that would suit this car. Obviously families, we've got 7 seats, and it's a nice looking car. It's not an ugly big people carrier, because a lot of people think that when you have more than 2 children that you need to start buying like these big ugly cars. You don't. Nice ones do exist. On the other side, it is expensive, so that's something to consider. But then I guess if you're leasing it, you're not ever going to pay the full amount of the car anyway, so that's, I don't know. I think it's great for people who'd like, I don't know, like us, go on countryside walks all the time. It's got that height, it's got the off-road capabilities if you need it, but you're still in a luxurious car. It's very safe. That's obviously a huge pull for a lot of Volvo drivers. I know that from my previous videos, people love to talk about how safe Volvos are. Or even just people who like big cars. Like these days, people seem to just gravitate towards bigger cars. You see people with SUVs that might not even need a car that big, but it's just nice to be that high up on the road and have that kind of luxurious space inside. It's also great if you don't get in with your partner, because there's a good distance between the two of you, or your kids, because they can be quite far behind you. But also people who enjoy fast cars, like obviously that's a huge pull to this specific model because it's so insanely fast. It is really fun to drive. So anyway, I'm going to leave that video off here, continue the rest of my day. The sun has gone away, the dress didn't work, but thank you so much for watching this video. I don't think I've said it yet, but we hit 20k. We hit 20k subscribers on the channel, which is just mind-blowing. So if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. If you're not, which over 50%, I think it's 60% of people that watch these videos, they watch. They'll happily watch the video. I happily entertain them for 20 minutes, but they haven't bothered to hit subscribe. It's totally free, so if you can subscribe, it really helps me out. Genuinely, it would really mean a lot if you did. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a bit different. If you want me to review any other newer cars, get in the comments and I will try my best to find ways to source these newer cars to do reviews on, because I do enjoy, like, I love the ownership videos and I love having cars that are mine that I can do stuff to and make changes to. But having a car just for like a week just to purely focus on like what that car does, how I feel about that specific car, and there's no like strings attached, I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy these reviews. I've done quite a few on the channel already, so if you haven't seen them already, we've got an Audi S5 and a Bath, got some BMW reviews on the channel, got some Porsche content, of course a lot of Range Rover and Land Rover content. We had the Discovery on a few months ago. So I hope that I'm bringing value to car YouTube and that you enjoy watching these videos, because it really means a lot that you watch them. So if you did enjoy today's video, please give it a big thumbs up and I'll see you very soon in the next Lucy on. What's that noise? Another thanks to Select Car Leasing for making this video possible. Like I said, there'll be a link below to their website, and I'll see you very soon in the next Lucy on Cars. Goodbye.